Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to the Pretty Rich Teacher podcast. Our goal this year is to be pretty and rich in 2026. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to chat with y'all today. It is a new year, new me. And I'm excited about this podcast. We're going to talk about failure. I feel like this is, well, one, I wanted to wait till 2026 to record this podcast. So I wanted to be in the energy of 2026 and just listen to what 2026 had to say. So that way I can tell y'all what I want to tell y'all. And it's about failure. Failure is a conversation that I have often with people, especially when it comes to teachers wanting to transition. And fear of failure is like a big thing, especially for high achievers, which most educators are high achievers. And I wanted to like dedicate a whole entire episode to failure so that way you can be successful. Um, and I want to also share some of my own failures I've had this year, how I have overcome them as a high achiever. I want y'all to know, like, I just want to drop a lot of gems about failure. And by the end of this episode, I want you to be less afraid of failure and more excited to fail because every successful person that I know, and I identify as a successful person, if you're listening to this podcast, you are 100% most likely successful in something, and you don't lose success, nor do you really gain it. Like, success is, and what you're going to hear is like, success is in the doing, it's not the having. Like, even with all my degrees, like, it's a degree, but like, I can't bottle it up and take it with me everywhere. You know, I can't, like, success is in the doing. Like, even when you reach a high moment in life, like, you cannot, nothing is forever, including failures. But the main thing I'm going to drive home. Um, and in full transparency, y'all, this is my third time trying to record this episode. I did it 2 times yesterday. And then today I was like, you know what? I know that was a good episode, but like I really want to make sure it's relevant. And I want it to be very specific on the type of failures that, like, why career transitions fail with teachers. So let's talk about it. I also, unfortunately, had got sick over the winter break. Um, I caught whatever was going on, but I'm feeling better. But now all of a sudden, because now I'm talking, now my nose wants to be nasally. But anyhow, let's talk about failure. Let's talk about how it presents. So I get this question often of like, what if I fail? Like, I'm afraid of failing. And I want to talk about how that presents um in this transition, right? So like I feel like before I go through my list, y'all know I got the HD, I call it ADHD. So I'm focused, but I do feel like I do feel like the wisdom just flows through me. So just follow me here. But I think the biggest thing with teachers, the high achievers, they're just afraid of failure. And the biggest failure that they already have right now, that you probably have right now, I'm talking to you as if you're not the people, is that you have most likely you have went through a teaching program, you have dedicated your life to becoming a teacher, you are successful in what you do. And I define teacher success of you teaching for at least 2 to 3 years. That was actually the qualification for my research study. I did a research study on teacher perceptions on teaching high school age students reading remediation. And I consider 3 years to be a veteran teacher because if you're teaching for at least 3 years, especially with my subject matter of intensive reading, reading intervention at the high school level, 3 years is veteran. So you've been teaching more than 3 years, you are successful, even if you survived 1 year at this point. If you survive 1 year, you are successful. But if you have went to school for teaching, teaching's all you know, all your degrees are in education, and you got to a point where you're like, you know what, like I actually don't like this anymore. And you feel this already failure because you got all your degrees in education, you've learned so much about it. You actually are good at what you do. And you're like, dang, like I failed. Like I don't actually like this. Like I thought this was gonna be my lifelong career. And that's already the number one failure that people perceive to be. So when it comes to making a career transition, a lot of teachers are battling, like I'm gonna say you, because I'm talking to you if you're listening to this podcast. You feel already like a failure because like you wanted to do this lifelong. And whether or not you want to do this lifelong, maybe that you only want to stay for a certain amount of years. Either way, you're in it and your goal is to get out, or your goal was to get out if you're already out. Um, and I think that's the biggest one. Like battling with that because you'll have the family members who are like, but you're so good at teaching. Like, you're so good at it. But you went to school for all these years. You just got to keep going. It gets better. All the things, all the stories that people have over you, and maybe even a story you have over yourself, that is like the top perceived failure. So the idea of transitioning into a new career feels scary because again, it's like teaching is all you know. So it's like, what I look like going into a whole new career, and I don't even like this one. Like you're afraid of going to something else that you don't like. There's a lot of failure, perceived failure. So I want to talk all about the types of failures. I actually wrote them down. And I wrote down 10 types of failures that people have experienced. So another thing that I always get, like when people are about to work with me, they're like, okay, like, have there been people who have not been successful? Like I haven't actually made the transition. And I'm like, yeah, there has been. And I want to go over what it is because I don't want you to be afraid of it. And I'm going to talk about the first number one. And I noticed I always have a lot of number one things. So just follow me. But I do have 10 things listed here. But I think fear, the number one failure is the fear of failure. So let's talk about it. So let's talk about the fear of failure. And then again, by the end of this episode, the goal is for you to embrace failure. The goal is to embrace failure. Um, but yeah, I think the number one reason why it exists is the high achievers. And let's just go over those because I probably will answer what I'm trying to say with my list because the thing is, I made up this list. So I know that I wrote these down for a reason. So let's just go over them. So the very first thing, I should move my board. Let me move it, but let me just put it right here so that I won't keep anything off to the side of the camera. But if I am looking, it's okay, y'all. It's okay. Um, let's talk about fear of failure. This typically presents as you want to do things, but the fear of failure is keeping you stuck. Okay. And this presents in different ways. So, like people who have been watching me for a long time, following me, knowing that I have the answers to their problems, but they're just afraid of investing and it not working. They're afraid of not getting a job. They're afraid of not being able to get a job on their timeline. They're afraid of leaving their teacher contract. They're afraid of um, feeling guilty for leaving their kids mid-year, feeling guilty and feeling afraid of being someone who leaves your team high and dry. Like you're just like failure, you don't want to fail anyone. And it's natural as an educator, you are someone who is people pleasing. You are a people pleaser somehow, some way. And even if you don't admit it right now, like you have some version of it. It's just the nature of the profession. Like your profession is to people please students, parents, your admin, your colleagues, yourself, your family, friends who all look at you like, but fear of failure is the biggest thing. And I get it. Like, as someone who is a high achiever, I understand being afraid of failure. But the thing, and again, I'm gonna be telling y'all the things that I'm gonna be giving y'all like anecdotes to it. Um, but let's again, I think what happens with the failure, and I go over this in my last one, is the feelings that come with it. Like you're so afraid of the failure that you won't even allow yourself to go there. And if you allow yourself to go to feeling, actually, I'm gonna pull up my feelings wheel of the feelings that you will feel with failure. And then I also looked up the definition of failure, and the definition of failure is lack of success. Okay, that's what the definition of failure is, lack of success. Now, as someone who is a high achiever, I want you to know that I I can talk about this before. Michael Jordan, he has a quote, and if you listen to my podcast, you've heard me go over it. That was a poster that I had in my classroom, and it talked about Michael Jordan, talking about all the shots he's missed in his career, how many times he's been trusted to take the winning shot and failed. And he talked about how he failed over and over and over again, and that is why he succeeds, right? And I really, really was intentional about having that poster because it is true. And I, again, like as a high achiever who has failed over and over again, I know that failure equals success. The only way we keep that failure is if we keep that lack of success. Like, if you want to be successful, you're going to keep failing. Like, every successful person that I know, so I'm a successful person. I mentioned, and I don't say this to brag, or I don't know how this comes about because I am 4 years removed from teaching. I've worked specifically for 2.5 years of helping other teachers leave. And the only failures are the perceived ones. And in order to be successful, like, you know that you have to keep going, right? Like my colleagues, my friends that I hang out with, my fellow coaches, other business owners, we all know that failure is a part of it. Like there is not one person on this planet that is getting everything right. There is not one person. Okay. The only people who are remotely close to getting things perfect, and it's not even perfect, are teachers. Because like you have your lesson plans, like you know you have your students, you learn your students, and you kind of have a groove and you know how to do things. But I like to always remind people is that the reason why you're probably also a great teacher is because you teach, I don't know how many days in a year. It's like 150 days minimum. You stand up and you teach 150 days. 150 days, and that's just minimum. You stand up and you teach 150 days. There are days that are not so great, but you stand up and you keep doing it. That's the only reason why you're great at teaching. It's the only reason why you're great. And even if you're not great at it, you've done it 100 times where you're not afraid to stand up and teach. Like you're not afraid to do a lesson plan. You're not afraid of, you know, y'all be getting like new curriculum randomly and then you have to learn it in 24 hours and then y'all turn around and act like y'all don't know how to do anything else. And that means in the most loving way possible. But the fear of failure is the biggest one. But let's talk about the feelings that happen when you do fail. Okay. You probably feel humiliated, probably feel rejected. You feel insecure. You feel anxious. You feel scared. You feel frightened, worried, inadequate, inferior, insignificant, inadequate, embarrassed, devastated, like when the failure comes. But as someone who's been through lots of failure, you feel those feelings and then you keep going. Like you just keep going. The only way you are not successful is if you stop. Like that's the only way you are failed. If you stopped. And then even still, hold on. I was putting my feelings well back if you're not watching. But even still, like we can't let failure, the fear of failure keep us stuck. It doesn't help, and I'm gonna talk about a couple of failures that I've had this year and how I've overcome them. But the fear of failure itself is what's keeping you stuck. But I invite you to just allow yourself to fail. And also invite you to remind yourself of the times that you have failed and in the most loving way possible, you didn't die. You at the end of the day, you didn't die. Because I think when it comes to failure, at the end of it, like when we get down to like the root and science of it, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like feeling safe to fail is what we need to do. But if you're listening to this, and most teachers, even though everyone's not making $100,000, you have somewhere to live, you have food, and you are educated. So you're not in the worst case scenario. And I want to invite you to allow yourself to feel the failure so that way you know that it's not that bad. And even with it, like as you do more of it, it becomes less. Okay. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I can talk a little bit about like some failures I had. So I feel like this year, 2025, I think I have, some personal um communication things with friends. I've also started dating last year and dating, I was a serial boot up person. And just know I have a lot of things that I learned. Acting. I talk about acting. I'm doing that. And, you know, I don't know, like I feel like I'm not dismissing it. I don't want to invalidate and make it seem like I'm perfect 'cause I'm not. I feel like people see like the tip of the iceberg of my success and don't see the rest of it. That the only reason I'm like that you see this Success is because I failed over and over and over again. Okay. Um, in friendships, I was afraid of communicating certain things. So I didn't say anything. And then it turned into a thing. And then I had to just face it head on. Like the only way for me to have moved on and continue my friendships, I just had to communicate. Okay. Dating, I learned to ask more questions. I learned to ask a lot more questions. Okay. I ask a lot more questions. But like, I even had like, with my business, there were a couple months where I did not hit my goals, and I allowed myself to feel it, and all those feelings, like I felt my feelings. And I think the biggest thing is like feel the feelings of it, and also like allow yourself to go to the worst case scenario and realize that you're not gonna die. And I mean that in the most loving way possible. You're not gonna die. The worst thing will happen is you'll feel those feelings, which some people are afraid of feeling the feelings, which I think is something that is another thing. But like allow yourself to feel the failure. Okay. Don't let the fear of failure stop you. There is nobody on this planet walking around with success without failure. Okay. All the people that I know, six-figure earners, multiple six-figure earners, millionaires that I literally hang out with, they are not afraid of failure because with success, in order for you to even be a six-figure earner, multiple six-figure earner, a millionaire, you have to invest. And that means, and I talked about this in my last episode, navigating uncertainty with confidence. A lot of teachers are wanting for sure 100% guarantee this is exactly what you need to do and you will do this for sure, for sure, for sure. But I'm like, nothing in life is for sure. So why are we expecting it out of different things? Like, why are we expecting perfectionism? Okay. We want to, we want to take away the fear. Okay. And whenever you sit fear down and you just listen to what she has to say, it at the end of it, it's not that bad. And I want you to feel it. Okay. So that's number one. That's a fear of failure. And I took a long time to go over that, but that's number one thing. And the thing I have for that is like failure equals success. The more you fail, the more you just acknowledge that you will fail. Um, because I think even like another thing is like people just are like, they don't want to fail. Like, so another thing that people do is like they have this secret hidden thing, like, oh no, I'm successful. If you just tell me what to do, I'll do it. And then we go through the different things and then like other things pop up that I'm gonna go through. But like, if you acknowledge that you will fail and you know that failure equals success and you regulate and you feel your feelings about failure and know that the more you fail, the more successful you are, you will be more successful. Nobody is walking around being a scared millionaire. Nobody is walking around being scared making more money. And the only people who are scared and not and not being scared, like if you're doing everything, you're not afraid of anything in your life, I'm scared for you. You like if you unless you are living a comfortable life. Like if you're living a comfortable, 100% comfortable life where you love everything in your life and nothing scares you in a way of like what I mean by that is like you feel so comfortable that you don't have any risk that you need to take. I want to know is are you actually happy? Is you happy? Quoting Ti. Because I think about the times where I was comfortable in my life, I wasn't really happy. I was just kind of skating on the fence of just doing what made me feel comfortable. Um, so like I want to just invite you to just really think about that. Okay. Because that's number one. Okay. Number two. So I'm gonna go down the list. So again, I have worked with educators for 2.5 years. I've seen it. So I'm going over all the different failures so that way you can be successful for all these things. Okay. I think the second failure is failure to have the time. So when it comes to career transitions, um, the failure to have time to commit to the process. Now, I've seen people on TikTok. I have a lot of new followers on TikTok. Welcome if you guys are your first time listening. But I've seen people afraid, not really afraid, but like the failure, I guess, would be in the career transition is not having enough time to commit to the transition. I think a lot of teachers are expecting it to be overnight success, overnight everything, things instant, like an instant job. And I tell people it just doesn't work like that, not to like crush your dreams, but to tell you the truth. Like failure to have time to commit to the process and failure to use the time that you have. Like time is a big thing, time management. So I feel like that would be like one of the second biggest thing. Because when it comes to teaching, a lot of y'all are bringing work home. A lot of y'all are over, like doing a lot in your job. where you honestly don't have the time or you don't believe that you have the time. And I always challenge you all, and I tell all my clients, like, we are not bringing work home. Like, we really want to, I talked about this in the last episode, but you want to prioritize your new career over your current one, which means you do have to change things. You do have to make time. And it starts by not bringing any work home. It starts by you really doing an audit of your time. How do you spend all of your time? Okay. How do you spend all of your time? Most of y'all are going to work early or however, getting there at the time, like waking up just in time, go to work, maybe get there early, however. But by the time you get home, you're exhausted, you're tired, you just want to get in bed, you want to go to sleep, you eat, you don't have time to talk to friends, you just don't have any time. And I like to remind y'all with time in the most loving way, we have the same hours in the day that Beyonce has. Okay. And I mean, in the most loving way. There is a way because I've helped people do it. I've had people who tell me, I have no idea. There is no way that I could come home and not have work, bring work home. And I've done it and I've helped them do it. So like failure to have time is a thing. Like you have to make this time. And the thing is, your brain does not like anything new. So the idea of prioritizing your time or changing your time, like I feel like the biggest thing is your brain is really fighting you. And you just kind of have to like talk back to your brain and say, oh no, we have time and we're gonna make the time for this. But time is the biggest thing. I have clients that, work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, have kids, no kids. I have clients of all sorts. And I have clients who are the most busiest. Like I had a client who literally had 3 jobs who was able to make time for this process. She said, okay, I'm gonna make it work. Okay. Time is all at one. I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole. Time is not real. It is real, but it's all our thoughts about time. People not having the time to this process is a silent killer. Okay. Either telling yourself that you don't have enough time, not prioritizing your time right, not managing your time. And I invite you, like, think about how were you able to get everything else done? Because if you are a teacher, you do prioritize your time. If you have finished a master's degree, bachelor's degree, doctoral degree, certification, you finish anything, you have managed your time before. So when it comes to this transition, you actually have to make time for this. Like, and back to my last episode also, like being in charge of your success, you just have to make it work at the end of the day. Like make the time. Okay. Make the time. And I realized like for me, I got to a point where I was saying, oh, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. And I always found like, don't believe yourself, your story. Because when you say I don't have time, I don't have time, ask yourself, is that really true? Like really do a full audit of your time. Because time management is something that really does hold people back. Okay. Aside from time management, another one is failure to heal burnout. Now, this is sneaky because half of the teachers don't believe that burnout is an issue. And then when I ask them, I can tell when someone's burned out from like talking to them for 5 minutes. I can tell. And like telltale signs are, and you could even do a little test right now, a little litmus test. Who are you outside of teaching? Number one, describe it without bringing up your classroom. What do you see yourself doing if you did have free time? And don't talk to me about, I just want to be able to have time to do my job. Like, if you cannot envision life outside of teaching or envision what you do without your free time, we're burnt out. And when it comes to healing burnout, we're also healing PTSD because whenever you do, let's say that you do get yourself in a point where you're able to manage your time effectively. Let's say that you are at a point where you are healing your burnout, right? Let's say you did that. You're gonna then still have PTSD of feeling guilty that you had this time and like your brain's gonna want to find a problem because like the biggest thing is time and burnout. And once you solve both of those things, your brain's gonna find another problem. So you're gonna be living in PTSD of like, okay, what should I be doing? Okay. And then guilt enters the chat if you are trying to go into a different career because you feel guilty about students, parents, etc. So like this is why I recommend therapy for every single teacher. I am someone who practices what I preach. I see my therapist every 2 weeks on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock. That specific. I see my therapist every 2 weeks. I'm never stopping. Okay. Because there's a lot to unpack about the profession and failure to heal your burnout, failure to get yourself the support that you need is another thing that stops you from transitioning. Because if you don't battle that, it is impossible for you to learn something new. I don't want to call it impossible because everything is possible, but it is very challenging for you to truly absorb the skills. And that's actually my fourth failure, which I'll go straight into it, is failure to learn new skills. So going back to, I talk about how there are some teachers who want instant. Like I saw on TikTok, I saw someone comment. So I told them, I told people like the best place to start with me is my podcast. And someone was like, I don't have time to listen to your podcast. Give me things outside the podcast. And I was like, girl, like, scroll my page. Scroll my page. Are you new here? Are you new here? Are you new here? Scroll my page. I also go live on Tuesday. And I'm not offended at the ask. I just know most some people are burnt out because they don't even have the time or the capacity. Like I had another client say, my attention span is too short for podcasts. And I'm like, babes, if our attention spans are short, I can guarantee you're going to have some challenges in learning the new skills. So which is the thing, like failure to learn the new skills that you need for your transition. And it's a lot of skills. Like people are wanting a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I give them a 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll do it. Or they think this is so easy to be true. They're like, okay, this seems actually super easy. And I'm like, yeah, it is easy. It's easier than teaching, but there are new skills that need to be learned. And you have to give yourself the time, the energy, the confidence to do things knowing that you're going to fail by learning a new skill. So the top skills I say that you need to learn are number one, I would say emotional regulation, because it's going to be a lot of feelings and emotions that come up in this journey. Learning the actual career that you want to go into, learning how to market your skills for the new career that you want to get into, learning how to sell your skills, the skill of consistency, the skill of discipline. Those are all the skills that you need to learn. It's a lot of skills to learn. They're not like you cannot learn them overnight. So like failure to learn all the new skills required in this journey is another reason why people are not successful in their transition. Okay. There are new skills you have to learn. And I want you to invite yourself to think about, like, even with teaching, like you have a lot of skills. Like when we say that teachers can do anything, I do truly mean it. I do truly mean that teachers can do everything. Okay. However, with that being said, you still have to learn a new career. I think a lot of teachers are expecting, this is normal. They're expecting to, like, especially the job search journey. They're expecting, okay, where do I apply? What websites to apply to? What do I put on my resume? They're looking for magic words. I'm like, there is no magic word. Like it is quite literally learn the new career you want to go into, learn to market your skills, learn to sell your skills, and be consistent at it. Okay. So you have to master your new skill. Like you have to learn the new skills. So failure to learn all the skills required is what gets into the other ones that I'll go into. Um, which is failure to master new skills. So it's one thing to learn the new skills. So like if you don't even learn the skill in the first place, so like especially my clients where I give them literally everything and there's no shame in it, it's like it's a lot. So like if they don't make it to skill 4 of learning the new skills, it's because they have a fear of failure, they don't have the time, they're not healing their burnout, so they don't need to learn new skills. So it's hard to master the new skills. It's kind of all build off of each other. You have to master your new skills. There is no way that you just fix your resume, get an interview, and then if you haven't learned your new career, like it is more challenging to pretend like you know how to do a career than it is for you to learn it. And then when you're in the interview process, they want to hire someone who is really good at what they do already. Okay. For corporate, I mentioned this before, corporate is a business. Like if you want to work in corporate, even if you want to work for a nonprofit, they have business outcomes. So even if they're a nonprofit, they're still a business. They still have to register as a business. And somebody is profiting. Like someone's being paid because you work for a nonprofit and you get paid. How do they, because there are ways. So like the whole point is like you are going to work for a business. So like, no, and I want you to think about you. Like I always tell my clients, whenever you're interviewing, put yourself in the hiring seat. Would you legitimately hire yourself unbiasedly? Like looking at your resume, looking at your interviewing skills, like literally watching yourself back, would you actually hire yourself unbiasedly? Okay. I mentioned before I hired an assistant, and that was a whole thing. Like that gave me a whole new perspective that I brought to my clients. Like when I hired my assistant, I did not want like I did not want to train someone on all the things. Like my job description was so specific. I said, and you need to work with these technologies. I want you to have worked with a coach before. I want you to be able to um have your own what was it like being able to like take ownership, not always have to ask everything. Like because the thing is, could I hire an assistant and train them? Yes. But like the whole reason why I hired an assistant is because I needed support and doing all the things. So when you fail to master your new skills of learning a new job, learning how to market your skills, like the interviewing skills, like you fail to master it, like it goes into kind of back to feel failure. Like you're like, oh my gosh, like I got this interview and now I'm gonna go over the different ones, but like you have to master your new skills. You legitimately have to master the new skills. And the only way you master it is you keep doing it. You keep doing it. You keep doing the thing. The reason why you're a great teacher is you stand up and you teach 200 days out of the year. I don't keep changing it, so I don't really remember how many days you teach. I know that there's 100 days of school and there's more than that. I wouldn't say it's like 100. I don't know. Okay. But there's like, you stand up and you teach at least 150 days out of the year, maybe 200. Okay. I don't know. But either way, you stand up and you teach, and that's how you mastered it. And the process is the same. To learn a new career, I'm not expecting you to like learn it overnight. Like for my clients, I teach them the skills of customer success, and ed tech sales. And I have broken down that entire career in 2 videos. I tell them to watch that over and over. Like you're not gonna watch it one time and be like, boom, I'm a CSM. Okay. Like you have to master the skills. Um, and when you don't master the skill of time, you don't heal your burnout, and you don't learn the new skills of like, okay, I have to just be disciplined. I have to continue doing it. You don't master it. So like I have some clients that will, go through I call it going through the motions and not absorbing what's actually happening. So like when you just go through the motions of just doing the things, so like I have some clients who will do the portfolio just to get it done. They'll go through the training. They'll checklist, did everything, and then I asked them, okay, so tell me about your book of business. They're like, yeah, I don't have to watch that part again. We haven't mastered the skill. Like, there's no way to fool it. You have to master your skill. Okay. So, side note, that's 5. I have 5 more to go to. If you are new here, there are ways to work with me to get support. Okay. Currently, right now, I have a exit plan course that actually teaches you how to create an exit plan that you can check in the show notes. That literally, quite literally, I created this course after working with clients one on one for over 2 years. I did not want to create a course that was going to be something that sits in your inbox. It actually gives you everything you need to learn. So if you want to have a course that is DIY, that's a low ticket. If you're not someone who wants to do my one-on-one coaching, just know that that is there for you. But if you do want one-on-one assistance and you do want my eyes on everything and you do want to get a certification to learn these new skills and also learn the skills of mastering, like learn all these things, that is my program, Six Figure Educator. You will quite literally learn how to make 6 figures. The very first lesson that you learn in my program is how to get a 10K ROI. You are not paying $10,000 to work with me, but I will show you how to make $10,000 minimum in your new job. Okay. So just so I know, if you are someone who are listening and you wanted to know how I can help. Now, let's go back to the other ones. So hopefully so far, recapping, fear of failure, failure to have time, failure to heal burnout, failure to learn new skills, failure to master new skills are top 5 reasons why career transitions fail. Okay. Notice how I didn't say anything about no resume, and I'm going to go through the rest of the things. So, number 6, the failure of, or the perceived failure of not landing interviews. Okay. So I see people all the time on TikTok, on Instagram, all in the comments. I've tried everything. I've tweaked my resume 100 times. I've done this, I've done that, not landing interviews, or it'll be someone in my program where they are applying for jobs and they haven't landed interviews yet. And then they just have this fear that they're not going to land an interview. And it stalls them from not practicing for their interview, or it just puts them in a state of panic, like, oh, I have not landed interviews. This is not working. It's not working. When it's like, this is the process. Like, you are going to have to apply to a lot more jobs than you ever had to do before. And the fear of not landing interviews, like, I truly do believe in energy. Like, I do believe that, like, there are some, like, other reasons why you probably aren't landing interviews, but, like, the fear of not landing interviews is really tripping y'all out. And it's really just a strategy thing. Like, it's not hard, and I don't say this to invalidate you, but it is not hard to land interviews. It just takes time. It just takes time. There is no guaranteed way. I always remind y'all, like, when a job is posted, that means a company is, looking for someone to hire. So it's not like this, it's not going to be a magical land of someone who's always hiring. They don't always have openings. Okay. They may have, there's just 100 reasons why you have not landed an interview, and none of them because you're not qualified. And a lot of people allow that to take up space in their brain when it's like, I tell my clients, if you don't have an interview, be excited that you have another week to practice for your interviews. Because some people wait till they get an interview to start practicing. Like, oh no, I need an interview to motivate me. But it's like, no, like, you have to be ready now. The clients, I had past two in a 2 week time frame, I had 6 clients land job offers, 6 of them. And not one of those people sat there and waited for an interview to be ready. When I sit there and think about all of them, none of them sat there and waited. They may have done that before and then they learned their lesson the hard way. But for the interviews that turned into job offers, they did not wait for an interview to practice. They were practicing every week. Might I say even every day. Okay. I have another client actually who just landed a job offer yesterday. And she went to work. Like, she was someone who I was literally working with her through each round, but she was doing the work. She's like, okay, what do I gotta do? And she's doing it. Like, she did not wait. I said, hey, you need to practice this over and over. And like, I tell people, you gotta practice over and over and over until how many times it takes. I tell my clients, you want to make $100,000, you need to practice for your interviews 100 times. A lot of y'all expecting to practice 1 time, 2 times, but that don't make money. Like, you have to practice for however long it takes. Okay. I want y'all to think about any sport or profession or anybody who does something good at what they do. Like football players, basketball players, um, comedians, actors, all those things. They are practicing. People keep seeing the top of the iceberg, but there's more. Like, people are practicing over and over. And not landing interviews, it is just a strategy. Like, I have clients every 30 days, excuse me, they're able to submit, it's called a 30-day game plan, where they're able to submit to me all the jobs they've applied to, the job titles, their mindset, their thoughts. And there's always something that I find of why they haven't. If they have not landed an interview, I am able to tell them why. It's usually job titles. It's usually job titles and the amount of interviews. That's really usually what it is. And not amount of interviews, amount of applications. You have to apply to a lot. My strategy is 100 applications in 30 days. And every 30 days, you start the thing over. Because the thing is, every company is not hiring all the time. And like, you just have to keep letting people know that you want a job. If you stop applying, you stop letting people know that you want a job. And if you only wait until you have an interview to practice for said interview, you're going, like, you don't want to, like, I tell my clients, none of the interviews you have should be practiced. None of them. Like, you work so hard to get that interview, you need to turn that into a second round, third round, final round job offer. I had one other client where I quite literally told her, because she was someone we were just working on interviewing. And she was one of them. She would wait till an interview to start practicing. I said, ma'am, you need to practice every single day. You need to practice. And then we get to it. She was able to practice, but then we had to add in person. Like, there's so many things. Like, and that's why I want people to practice often. And that's why I love having my clients record themselves so I can see it and they can watch themselves. You have to be able to look at it. But like, I told my client, go get a job offer. And she did. She's like, okay. Like, she just made that mindset shift. And she's like, okay, all the things that she's telling me to do, I'm just going to do them. But she did not wait for the interview. And then when she did get an interview, got another interview, that turned into a job offer. She's like, wow, like, all I really had to do was just immerse myself. I felt comfortable. I felt confident. I even had her have a group coaching call with my clients. And I told her before I told her to go get a job offer, I said, hey, like, one of the biggest things that you need to do is get comfortable. So I said, hey, I'm going to ask you some interview questions on the group coaching call. And she did it. And she felt so comfortable and confident. But the biggest thing is, you don't, like, the fear of not landing an interview. Like, the biggest thing I want to drive home is just a strategy thing. It's simply strategy. It's simply strategy. Okay. That is something that can be fixed. Like, you are not someone, I want to remind, like, none of y'all are special snowflakes. where you're going to be the one person that does not land an interview. If you don't land an interview, we just have to figure out why. Okay. We just have to figure out why. Okay. So the fear of not landing interviews is one thing. Okay. The next failure, perceived failure in the career transition is not going to the next round. Okay. And I see this on LinkedIn all the time. People are getting interviews. Exciting news. I got the interview. I got the interview. And people are excited about interview, which is fine. I'm excited about interviews as well. But like, you need to be going to the next round. If you are getting interviews, but you're not going to the next round, it goes back to the one of practicing for your interviews. You cannot approach this corporate thing like teaching. If you haven't listened to my episode 34 on teaching interviews versus corporate interviews, completely different process. There is a lot to learn about interviewing. And the biggest thing that I tell people is like, they're quite literally looking to see if you can do the job already right now. Already right now. Already right now. Okay. You can't come in. I tell my clients, you cannot, all my clients who got job offers, I tell them, you cannot be someone trying to become a customer success manager. You cannot go in there trying to become an educational consultant. You have to become that person right now. You have to become that person right now. And if you don't believe that in your body, they're going to feel that on their, and you're not going to the next round. Like, getting an interview just means that your resume spoke to the amount of skills, and they're giving you a chance to kind of hear from you. Like, they want to hear things outside of the resume. And a lot of y'all are just focused on you're trying to go into an interview like a teaching interview. And it's not the case. Like, you have to go to the next round. So what happens when people don't go to the next round, it comes up that feeling of failure, those feelings that I told you. And you allow you not going to the next round to mean that you failed. And again, reminder, failure is lack of success. If you keep throwing, and I call it throwing spaghetti at the wall. Okay. I throw spaghetti at the wall all the time. Hey, I didn't even realize, sidebar, that was like one of my human design lines, is that I am someone who just not experiments, but like, I just throw spaghetti on the wall. Literally. Like, I quite literally do that when I cook spaghetti as well. Um, but like, what I do is like, I literally like, this is a metaphor, but like, with everything that I do, I know that I gotta turn the stove on. I gotta get up. Okay. I gotta put some water in that pan. I gotta boil it. Okay. I gotta there's time. I gotta put the noodles in, let them cook. Okay. And I think that they're ready. I think that I'm ready for this. And then I'm like, okay, let's test it out. Let's get a little thing, not burn my finger. Throw the spaghetti. Okay. That slid out the wall. That's not ready. Okay. And then I'm like, okay, let's just do it again. Let's take it longer. However, I've also made rice. I had made rice after a long time last year, and I forgot how to make rice. I had to throw the whole pot away and start over. Okay, the whole point I'm thinking is like, you're gonna have that feeling of like, oh dang, I did this, but like, just start over. Just do it again. Like, just do it again. No one's gonna die. Like, yes, it sucks. I don't want to waste food, but like, I don't want to eat burnt rice, and I would like to have noodles that are good. You know what I mean? Like, you just keep going at it. Okay. I know how to make macaroni and cheese now for Thanksgiving. Okay. But that took time. I had to learn my lesson. I'm like, okay, dang, you're right. I should not use shredded cheese. I gotta shred my cheese myself. You know, I feel like for me, I've just got to a point where I'm not afraid of the failure. Like, I feel it. And then like, once I realize I'm not gonna die, like, it just is like, that is it. So like, I think whenever people don't go to the next round, they make it mean something about themselves, when it's just like, no, babes, it's just your interviewing skills that we just have to sharpen. So I think these are the getting to the nitty gritty of why the career transitions are not successful, is because people really die on that mountain hill of, I didn't go to the next round, nobody wants me. When it's like, this is just a part of the process. I also remind people, not only did it take me a year to land an interview, but I have been through multiple rounds of multiple rounds. I have made it to final round interviews and have not gotten selected. And over and over and over and over and over again. And the only reason I was able to secure a job offer is because I kept going through those things. So like, the fear of not going to the next round keeps people stuck. And then you start to believe, oh, I'm not going to the next round. I'm not going to the next round. That's actually what I told my client. So one of my clients, the same one that I told her to go get a job offer, excuse me, she had gotten to a point where she genuinely believed, oh, I'm not going to get a job offer. I'm just getting interviews. And I was like, ma'am, no more just getting to the next round. Go get the job offer. because she really had a story in her head. And some people, y'all probably do this, like, oh, I'm probably like I saw someone on LinkedIn write that. It was, oh, I know that when I did my interview, I know I'm not gonna go to the next round. And it's like, why do you want to keep showing up to that? Why do you want to keep showing up to the interviews the same person that you were last time? Like when I showed up to each time I do something again, like I am not the same person. I don't want to be the person that has the same problem every single time. I don't want to be that person. Okay. Like watch the story you tell yourself, but like if anything, just let that be the thing that you need to get support on and you need to figure out. But you are not a failure for not going to the next round. You just have to figure out what is happening. But it's typically an interviewing thing. It's nothing to do with you not being qualified. It is most likely 100% your interviewing skills. Okay. Then let's say you are able to go to the next round. You go to the second round, third round, but you're not getting the job offer. So the not getting a job offer part is like, I thought these are the things like not going to the next round and not getting a job offer is where a lot of people stop because what happens is, I'm gonna go to the next one, is you start to sit in the failure. Now, this is gonna be take this information as you want to, but as someone who has, and again, I want to talk about this in a nice way. So, like, I got diagnosed with ADHD like last year. I'm not my therapist, but like, I want to put a caveat. Like, I am not someone who like allows my diagnoses to be my personality. Like, I just learned it about myself and I'm like, okay, but I'm not gonna change my bio. I'm not going to, I just learned about myself and oh, okay, that makes sense. I would consider myself a neurodivergent on the spectrum. I hyperfixate on things. So I want to talk about sitting in failure because it is all relevant. So if you are a high achiever, 9 times out of 10, you probably are not going to say you're on the spectrum, but ADHD is a version. There's certain things with ADHD. There is this all or nothing approach that you have where if you're not doing everything right, then you're doing everything wrong. There is no middle ground for you. And I'm speaking from experience, but like there's all or nothing. And then there's rumination. Rumination is like when you fail. So let's say it's like you didn't, let's start with not landing the interviews. Let's say you get an interview, didn't go to the next round, go to the next round, but you don't get your job offer. Like that's where people stay the most. And you ruminate. You're like, oh my gosh, I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have done this. And you like literally allow that failure to play in your head over and over and over and over and over and over again, where you literally go into a shame spiral. Like you literally go into a shame spiral. And in order for you to remove the pain, you just stop. So this is what this presents as, oh, I took a break from applying for jobs. I took a break. I needed to rest. And it's because you most likely drove yourself crazy on those things. And this is speaking from experience. All the different things that I had this year, I did play back different situations over and over again. I'm like, dang, I wish I would have said that. Like, I felt so much shame. But I want y'all to know, like, shame isn't really real. Like, you made it up. Like, I think people have in their mind that people are walking around saying, ha, 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 you did this, you did that wrong. Ha. Like, people think that someone's really doing that, but it's the only person doing it is yourself and you made it up. And just how you're able to make up shame, you can also believe that you can be successful. You can also believe that. So I'm gonna let that land. Like that is one thing that happens. If you're a high achiever, because essentially for the high achievers, you hyper fixate on one thing and you get that thing. So that's why you're not even able to describe how you're able to do things. So you're like, oh, I just did it. I just did it. But you hyper fixated. You were hyper fixated on finishing that degree. You were hyper fixating on whatever it is. That is a version of the ADHD, neurodivergent, on the spectrum, whatever it is. And with that, if you are someone who identifies as all or nothing approach, you are someone who is a high achiever, you most likely experience this rumination and this all or nothing. Like, and that is really, really, truly, I feel like where people get stuck and why the career transitions are not successful. You stay in that shame. You sit in that failure and you really like you just are in a failure pond. You're just like swimming, like, oh, what was me? Nothing's working. Then you start, again, if you haven't listened to my podcast episode about your 6-figure self, requires a victory mindset. I highly recommend you go listen to that. But it comes into different forms. Like you are either, woe is me, nothing's working, blaming other people. Why aren't they hiring? Why aren't people telling me what it is? Like, why won't y'all just give me a chance? My experience speaks for itself. Why are y'all not hiring me? This is why you should hire teachers. Um, or you go into the where you're not really blaming anybody. You're just posting positive quotes. I believe in myself. It's gonna work. Like those are where you get stuck. Like you're stuck on the triangle and rumination land. And again, like this is, and I think that's what happened. So like when I have clients who say that they need to take a break, it's, and it could also be the other things. It could be not having enough time, not healing your burnout, not learning new skills, not mastering your new skills, those things. But then when it gets to, okay, I did all these things and now it's not working, you live in rumination land, like rumination. I'll give you the definition of rumination so that you all can, um, rumination definition. Deep or considered thought about something. Okay. You live deep in thought about that thing. And really, our mind is everything. And if you allow yourself to just live in that rumination land, that's honestly why people get stuck and they don't transition. Okay. You remove the pain and you take a break and you're like, okay, I'm taking a break. I'm not going to apply for jobs. I'm not going to practice for interviews. This is just a lot. And really, the only reason why it's a lot is because of that. Okay. The last thing, which is actually fun, is fear of success. People are afraid, okay, it's kind of like the I know, I know, I know. Like I know what I need to do. I know, I know, I know. I know she's right. I know I need to manage my time. I know I need to heal my burnout. I know I need to learn my new skills. I know I need to master it. I know I need to practice for my interviews. I know that I have to wait for interviews to come. I know that I need to practice away to the next round. I know that I'll get the job offer. I keep practicing. I know that I need to stop studying my failure. I know, 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 I know. And then you're like, okay, but I'm afraid to do it still. It's like going back to the fear of failure. Okay? These are all the things that present itself. So, but there's a fear of success where you're afraid of, oh, dang, like I'm afraid of getting the interview. I'm afraid to get the interview because then I have to like actually do all the stuff I was talking. Like I have to actually interview and then I have to go to the next round. Well, I'm afraid of that. Oh my gosh. And then they get the job offer. Because listen, I'm going to have some episodes dedicated to my clients who are on the other side because they still freak out. I have clients who literally the same energy they had of like, oh my gosh, I'm scared about this, I'm scared about that. They're doing it in their new job. Like one of my clients, she's in sales and she, in sales, you have to, basically bring in new business, get demos booked. And she was like, so scared. She's like, "Oh my gosh," like, "Oh, I haven't gotten any calls booked." And then she got a call booked and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm afraid of the call. I'm so nervous." I'm just like, "Girl, girl." So it's like the fear of success. Like you're afraid that you're going to get the thing and then you're also afraid that you're going to keep afraid of not keeping the success also. Like you feel like, "Okay, I've made this level. I'm an imposter. Like they actually believe me." Type of thing. Like I'm afraid of success, afraid of actually being able to keep the success that you have. And I remind you all, success is in the doing, not the having. Like nobody has success they can just put in a thing. Like even when you win a Grammy or an award, you win it, you have that moment, and then it's you don't have that moment again. You don't have it again. Like you have a trophy forever, but you don't have a success. You're gonna like, especially actors, like they're like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? It's never like you never get to keep your success. Like you don't get to keep it. Like success is in the doing. So if you continue doing, you will be successful. Like you're successful right now. Like you are successful right now. Success is in the doing. Even if you just start to say, you know what, I'm gonna look at the fear of failure differently, that is success. In my exit plan course, I have a milestone thing where I have them celebrating success on each milestone. Success in getting in the course, success in watching the first module, success in being able to learn a new career path, success in you understanding and knowing what your next steps are. And I was talking to them and they're like, oh my gosh, like, I realized I don't celebrate myself. It's like, yeah, you need to do that. You need to celebrate yourself. You need to give yourself more credit. Success is right now. You are successful right now. A lot of people wait to get the success in the job offer, but as someone who has landed job offers, as someone who has seen those same people say, okay, as soon as I get my job offer, I'll be good, and see them still go into thought spirals, you have to be like, you have to be happy in your success right now. Okay? All right. Those are the failures. Okay? I want you to know this is normal. I hope that this was helpful. And really, I invite you to close your eyes if you are not driving. And I want you to really just like allow this podcast to land in your body and be like, wow, like I feel seen. This is me. I've done all these things. And if you're someone who has been ruminating and keeping those same thoughts and playing your perceived failures over and over and over again, I want you to know that your brain does not know the difference between you genuinely envisioning your success. I want to invite you to allow yourself to believe. That's what my therapist says. My therapist says people don't do what they know, they do what they believe. Allow yourself to believe that you can tackle your fear of failure. You can tackle your fear of going into something uncertain with confidence. You can make time for your career transition. You can heal your burnout and you can get support in your burnout. You can believe that you are capable of getting the support to help you with your burnout. Okay. Even if you don't feel like you're burnout, being able to get that support in your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions is a privilege that you are able to receive. And all the other things, being able to believe that you're capable of learning new skills. You learn new skills all the time. You learn new curriculum all the time and you mastered it. You learn how to deal with difficult kids every day. You learn how to deal with parents every day. You've learned, think about all the new things you haven't not been able to do before, and then you know how to do it. You now know how to do it. You are capable of learning and mastering a new skill. You are capable of landing interviews. You are capable of getting an interview and going to the next round. You are capable of doing that again. You are capable of going to the final round. You are capable of landing a job offer. You are capable of feeling all the feelings you feel with failure and still be successful. You are capable of being able to master your fear of success and become successful. I want you to really envision yourself being the successful version of you right now. Right now, you have everything in your power to be successful. Tell yourself that you are successful right now. I am successful right now. No matter how it looks at any point in time, I am successful. I have a track record of success. I have evidence of success. I will continue to be successful. The high achiever in me, this is just one other goal that I've had. 9 times out of 10, you had a list of goals, and this is just your next one. And I want to invite you that if it feels scary, we should lean into it. We should lean into it. But I really want you to, your homework is to envision yourself successful. Envision yourself being successful. Envision it. What does it look like for you to have what you've wanted? What does it look like for you to look in the mirror right now and tell yourself that you're successful, that you're capable? You are capable of this success. No matter what I said, if you feel seen, then that is also success because that lets you know that it's not just you. And imagine I think about all the things that I have failed at, and I think about how I'm happy that I did fail because then I was able to think about it and I was able to learn from it. The best way to extract uh shame is what wisdom did I gain from this? Sometimes we do have to learn lessons the hard way, but you are capable of success. All right. I'm so excited that I recorded this episode for the third time. And I really, really hope that not hope, I'm going to believe for you that this was the episode you needed to keep you going, to know that failure is a part of the process. The more you're feeling, the more you're going to be successful. I even have a framework with my clients where you should be getting 10 no's a week. You should be getting 10 redirection emails. You're going to practice your interviews full throttle. You're still going to be told no. Okay. Now I've updated. You don't need to have 5 no's straight. If you get 5 no's, if you get 5 interviews and they're all no's, we have an interview Wednesday. We should be getting no, yes, no, yes, no, and like getting to the job offer. But like there's power in the no's. There are power in the no's. The things that I really have learned the most are in the no's. Okay. And I said that in my last episode. I'm going into a new profession. Well, I'm doing new things. I'm doing my YouTube. I'm on Instagram, not Instagram, yeah, Instagram, YouTube, but acting. Okay. I'm going to be told no a lot of times. And I think like once you get used to failing, like you acknowledge that you will fail, like stop acting like you're not going to fail. The only way that failure is permanent is if you give up. And even if you give up for a little bit of time, like you release the pain, it's okay to remove the pain. But that typically, again, is what happens. You remove the pain, and like this pain is necessary. This pain is beauty. My 1 year of not landing an interview turned into a career that is now my new career where I feel so blessed to be able to help so many people. But that had to happen to me. There's a lot of things that have happened to me in my life that I know and knew that I'm going to help someone else. And what if your perceived failures will help someone else? There are a lot of teachers who are afraid to even listen to this podcast, but you're listening to it. There's a lot of teachers who are afraid to make the transition, but you are even listening to this, you are making that first step. And know that this is beyond you. You being able to face your fears, you're going to help so many more people. If you're a mom, you're going to show your kids that you can still thrive after failure. Your kids are going to fail. Your students in your classroom fail. There are students who are, not knowing how to read yet, and you're helping them learn how to read. Okay? Like failure is growth, failure is success. The more that you see failure, the more it's proof that you are trying. And if you keep going, you will be successful. And that alone is the success. That's what I want to walk you to walk away with. You are successful right now. Okay? All right. I hope I know this was helpful. I believe that this was helpful. And I cannot wait to celebrate your success. I'm celebrating your success right now. And I cannot wait to continue celebrating your success. All right, y'all. I will see y'all in the next episode. Bye.